For a long time, the United States has used various means to hinder the development of China's semiconductors. Although it always claims to respect countries' right to choose, it actually forces other countries to join it in opposing China. However, recent news has surprised people. Most semiconductor companies have chosen to stay in China. Executives at Europe's top chip makers, STMicroelectronics, Infineon, and NXP, say they are still working despite being caught between US export curbs on Chinese semiconductors and China, the world's second-largest economy. They are still pursuing business development in China while adhering to the restrictions. As the world's largest ARM architecture MCU manufacturer, STMicroelectronics attaches great importance to the Chinese market. In 2007, STMicroelectronics accounted for only about 2% of China's general-purpose MCUs. As of 2021, its market share in China's MCUs will reach 21%, ranking first. For STMicroelectronics, China accounts for about 30% of the company's total revenue. In addition, the contribution of the Chinese market to NXP also occupies a pivotal position. In 2019 alone, more than half of NXP's revenue came from China. Clearly, China is a market they don't want to leave. Moreover, after closing its 32-year-old factory in Zhuhai earlier this year, Canon said it would invest 50 billion yen, about 2.5 billion yuan, in a new semiconductor equipment factory, mainly to increase the production of lithography equipment, and after completion it is expected to increase production capacity by 2 times. However, in the eyes of the outside world, Canon's production expansion this time is actually intended to develop the Chinese market. In the wave of chip shortages in 2021, even a second-hand lithography machine from Canon 30 years ago can be worth a full 17 times and sold at a high price of $1.7 million. And Canon just seized the fact that China's current demand for lithography machines is still strong, and launched a fierce pursuit of China. In fact, under the US rules, many suppliers lost their stable business and were forced to be exposed to the complicated market environment. Now that the 3 major European chip giants have indicated that they will continue to stay in China, what does this mean? How did they blatantly ship goods to China under the nose of the United States? In addition, American companies are also suffering from the bitter consequences of revised rules. How can they save this crisis? Okay, that and more is exactly what we are going to talk about today. Chip sales and the consumer market are integrated, and neither can do without the other. For so many years, American companies have been playing the role of suppliers, selling chips to China. China has a population of 1.4 billion, consumes hundreds of billions of chips every year, and spends $300 billion on imported chips every year. Both the sales side and the consumer side have achieved a win-win situation. The open market environment has benefited global suppliers. Not only American companies, but also European semiconductor companies are also vigorously deploying in the Chinese market. For example, the lithography machine giant ASML has repeatedly stated that it will speed up the layout of the Chinese market. In the face of US rules, ASML issued a warning that failure to ship would lead to supply chain disruption. Those who hope to participate in the operation of the Chinese market are the 3 European chip giants. According to media reports, the CEOs of STMicroelectronics, NXP, and Infineon stated that they have no plan to stop operations in the Chinese market. The implication is that they hope to stay in China. Among them, Mark Cherry, CEO of STMicroelectronics, said, "The Chinese market accounts for 30% of the total revenue. This is a market we don't want to leave, and we must stick to it." The United States continues to revise the rules, from ASML's EUV lithography machine to 14 nanometers chip manufacturing equipment, to advanced computing chips, etc., are all within the scope of the United States' attention. This rule also caused many companies in the United States and Europe to lose their vast sales potential in an instant. However, although European and American companies have complied with the rules, they will not stop operations, so US coercion is useless. As long as there is an opportunity, these European and American companies may continue to seek shipping opportunities. In fact, companies are already doing this. For example, Nvidia's A100 high-end GPU cannot be shipped at will, so it launched a substitute A800. This A800 is supplied to Chinese customers as a special version. Compared with the A100, it only reduces the line width computing power from 600 GB per second to 400 GB per second. After reducing the computing power, Nvidia A800 will be able to obtain the shipping license and seek cooperation with Chinese customers again. In addition, the same is true of ASML companies in Europe. It plans to increase the annual production capacity of DUV lithography machines to 600 units in the future, because most of ASML's DUV lithography machines are supplied to mainland China, so behind the production increase is the hope of gaining the support of the Chinese market. The United States thinks that after the rules are formulated, European and American companies will stand with it, but they don't know that they are all pursuing free trade. Moreover, the US rules are reciprocal. If customers cannot buy chips, they may make them themselves, but if suppliers cannot sell chips, they may not be able to find suitable consumers. In addition, US companies are also suffering the consequences of the rules, so how to resolve this crisis? Most US companies are mainly selling chips, and their main business is to make money by selling chips. Unlike Apple, which has its own consumer electronics products, if their chips cannot be sold, they will lose a lot of sales. For example, Nvidia's net profit in the second quarter plummeted by 72%, and Intel's net profit in the third quarter plummeted by 85%. It's not just semiconductor companies that have seen their profits decline. After triggering a chain reaction, the rest of the US internet and financial technology companies have also experienced financial crises one after another. Revenues and profits have declined, and costs have increased, so Silicon Valley in the United States has begun to fall into a wave of layoffs. Meta laid off 11,000 employees, Amazon laid off 10,000 employees, Twitter laid off 80% of its employees, and companies such as Intel and Seagate also laid off thousands of people. Since the beginning of this year, US companies have laid off 120,000 employees, and there is a trend of further expansion. Why? I'm afraid it's nothing more than the cold winter of technology brought about by market rules. Due to poor trade, chip inventories have accumulated, and losses are still incurred after chips are sold at reduced prices. So how to resolve this crisis? In fact, there is only one best solution, and that is to return to the globalization of the industrial chain, so that European and American companies can get rid of the shackles of rules and cooperate independently in the free trade market environment. With cooperation, there will be orders, and orders will be placed on the production line to promote the economic improvement of all walks of life, allowing enterprises and the public to return to the original market order. In general, under the market rules, the top European chip giants made a tough statement, expressing their willingness to stay in the Chinese market. I can understand the choice of European chip giants, because China is the world's largest chip consumer market and also has huge sales of semiconductor equipment. They are well aware of the importance of globalization, and only through globalization can they gain the opportunity to break the ice in the industry. Well, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comment section. We'll come back as soon as possible and check them, and then we'll give feedback. See you next time.